I started this channel about 3 years ago when I was pregnant. So as you can imagine, a lot of my videos were about motherhood. And back then, my YouTube analytics showed me that 90% of my viewers were women. Now, when I pivoted a few months back and started talking about libertarianism, economics, free markets, things completely flipped. Now my analytics show me that 90% or around 90% of my viewers are men. Don't get me wrong, I'm grateful for every click, but that raised a nagging question for me. If freedom of speech, if free markets, if fiscal policy, if these things affect moms as much as they affect dads, why aren't more women hanging around these kind of conversations? Like, first of all, right off the bat, I'm aware of my own limitations. I know I still haven't figured out how to make these videos more interesting to women. That's on me. And by the way, I welcome your suggestions. Just because I'm a woman and I'm talking about these things doesn't mean that other women will want to watch. But I think this is beyond that. Women tend to be more aligned with progressive ideals. And I think this is working against me here. So before we continue, hi, I'm Caroline. Economic freedom is the only proven way out of poverty. So stop voting left and subscribe. Now, exit polls in the last 2024 US election show that women backed Kamala Harris 55% against 44% male votes. And men backed Donald Trump by the same margin, 55% against about 43% women's votes. So there's a 10-point gender gap, and it's apparently been consistent for nearly 30 years or more. Same thing goes for Canada. And it was even more dramatic for the Conservative Party. 53% voted left for Mark Carney against just a 28% of Pierre Poilievre votes were female votes. Pierre Poilievre was much stronger among men. And that is true for most Western countries. The polls show that women vote more left for more government intervention and progressive parties, and that women don't care as much as men about free markets. And I personally think that's a big problem. Like, one thing would be if leftist governments were doing a good job. But what is happening across the board is the left is causing devastation everywhere. Housing crisis, inflation, unemployment, censorship, crime. In my home country, 20 years of a socialist workers' party has completely ruined every single institution, families' livelihoods, the economy, and even the ability of walking on the streets with safety. I firmly believe that libertarianism is the only antidote to the devastation that government interventionism causes. And as a teeny tiny YouTuber, I wish to speak to more women in this platform. So why is the global political gap between men and women increasing? Why do women lean typically toward the left of the political spectrum? But also, how we can change that? That's what I want to try to answer in this video. So I have 3 hypotheses, 3 possible explanations. The first one is the left has been really good at taking credit for victories and values that weren't originally theirs. Like equal rights for women, that was pushed by classic liberals first, like John Stuart Mill in his book, The Subjection of Women, and others. The abolition of slavery classic liberals again. Freedom of speech, gay rights, bodily autonomy, all deeply libertarian ideas rooted in individual rights, not centralized power. But over the years, the left has mastered the art of lying. Marketing. They've wrapped liberty in progressive packaging and sold it as their own. And their messaging works, especially on women, because we are more compassionate, we're more caring on average. Because if you care about fairness, about justice, about human dignity, and no one ever told you that these values come from the liberty tradition, it's easy to believe the left invented them. They didn't. They just stole the credit, stuck their logo on it, and because it brings votes, clearly. So now, hypothesis number 2, compassion. Psychologists consistently find that women score higher on measures of empathy and agreeableness. So, policies packaged as safety nets can feel morally urgent to them. But compassion can boomerang. The government is a powerful entity. Every time it promises to give money to certain people or to provide subsidies to certain industries, it creates an artificial incentive. So, for example, if you're subsidizing the automotive industry, that means it'll be cheaper for them to be in business, so there will be more cars being made. But if this is not met with a higher demand for cars, then you just wasted money, and everyone is at a loss. The same goes for childcare. Here in Canada, the federal government subsidizes childcare, which, it's, how can you object to that, right? Like, more families will be able to work because now their kids can go to daycare at a lower price. It's more affordable. Parents can go back to work. But it's not so simple, okay? Like, intentions are different than outcome, okay? So what happened was, now the demand for daycare is so high that it's taken years for you to get a spot. I mean years. My daughter is nearly 3, and I'm still hearing back from places that I was on the wait list for. And it's not like I'm hearing back from them saying, hey, there's a spot now. No, they're just calling me to ask if I want to remain in the wait list. Like, it's crazy. So, like, wait lists stretch for years. There's staff shortages, and many parents can't find a single spot. So a policy that was made to make life easier is actually making it a little harder for everyone. That's what happened when good intentions meet bureaucracy. It fixes one problem by creating 3 new ones. This is what we call unintended consequences. Government programs are in general well-intended, but things do backfire. And the problem is, they usually don't measure the outcome. If at all, they don't consider these unintended consequences when they're evaluating their programs. And so things keep going the way that they are going, and taxes keep going up, and every year is trillions of dollars out of our pockets to pay for these things that look really good on paper, but not in reality. Which goes to show, even when you're coming from a place of compassion, intentions alone don't guarantee that you will succeed. Now, hypothesis number 3, risk aversion. Research shows that women are, on average, more risk averse than men, and they tend to place more trust in government, and they tend to place more trust in institutions like government, healthcare systems, education institutions, traditional media, and so on. So to many women, big government feels like a safety net, for when life goes wrong, like a backup plan. So if you lose your job, if you get sick, if you have to go on maternity leave, paying child support, those sort of stuff. It doesn't mean that women love red tape or, politicians, or just blindly trust politicians. It just means that a lot of us are more wired to think like there's a program for that and not there's a market for that. There's an opportunity here. You know what I mean? But here's the thing. The real safety, the kind that lasts, cannot be handed to us by somebody else. Real safety is being responsible for yourself in an environment that fosters economic freedom, economic security, stable prices, so the grocery bill doesn't double overnight, low taxes, so you can actually build a buffer, fiscal responsibility, so your country doesn't drown in debt, risking collapse. It comes from low interest rates rooted in real productivity, not artificial manipulation. These things may sound dry, but they are actually the difference between peace of mind and total panic mode. And these things are only possible when your government is small, fiscally responsible, and, incentivizes entrepreneurship. The foundation of real security is having more control over your own life. So which of these possible explanations is the right one? Let me know down in the comments. Or if you have another idea, just let me know too. The purpose of this video is not to hand out a final answer, because I don't know. I honestly don't know. I just want to maybe start a conversation. What do you think? What's going on? If you're a woman, please comment down below. If you're a woman that drifted towards the left, why? What do you see there? Or if you're more a woman that is more liberty curious, tell me why too. What drawn you in? What pulled you in? And if you're a man, your opinion matters too. Let me know. I don't know, man. How can we get more women to care more about freedom? That's all I want to know. I just want to know, I would love to have a free market girlfriends to share libertarian memes with, to, paint our nails together and discuss Milton Friedman while we listen to the new Taylor Swift album, those sort of things. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, thanks for watching. I hope you're subscribed already. If not, please do hit like and also subscribe to my newsletter, link below. I guess I'll see you soon.